Once again, this episode of the Totally Spoiled podcast is brought to you by 8,000 milligrams of ibuprofen.
Yes, that sounds about right.
I don't get it. I don't get what's happening with me. First of all, we should probably explain this. Welcome to the Totally Spoiled podcast.
I was about to say, how much time do we've got? we can go into this. I mean, we definitely can.
I am loving this. We got to start. So here's the deal. Happy Halloween.
Yeah!
If you're watching on YouTube, you can see that April is already made up, and
I'm dead.
I saw Toby walking around. So, are you guys doing a group thing?
Oh, you just wait. Yeah, but just for our listeners that don't see the whole ordeal, we are a group of band members that have crashed a school bus, and we are now zombie.
I like it.
Zombified. So
and Cape did the makeup?
Oh, Cape is a beast.
Oh, man.
Major kudos to Cape.
So I'm somewhat in costume, but waiting. We got our makeup here because, once again, I'm going to do Blue Man, which I love doing Blue Man. I've done it, you can hear it.
Oh, yeah.
It is such a pain in the ass having blue everywhere, literally everywhere.
See, here's the thing. I'm sure when it comes to the after, the cleaning, it's going to probably be a bitch. But
actually,
what is it?
It only takes 25 minutes or so
to wash off
or
clean up?
I've got the makeup wipes. I'm ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, never mind then. I don't feel sorry for it.
I mean, it's a pain in the butt, but and believe me,
easy.
There's blue coming out of spots for days. I'll be oh god, yeah, because I go all the okay, we got it. So
let's dig into this.
April is gonna help me with my makeup. We've got normally in years past, I just literally took my fingers and went like this all over, and she's like, "No, you have to get what are these called?"
So these are contour little sponges. It's so much easier. Let me this. This is why you have girl best friends over here. Okay, we educate you on these things. You'll get the work done in half the time. Can you agree with me?
The Totally Spoiled podcast has turned into the makeup podcast,
yes.
Which we are going to get to This Is Us, last night's episode. And I've got a beef with you about the episode before it, last week's episode.
I thought that you've got beef with me. I was like, come at me. What's going on?
I've got beef with you about that.
Yeah, okay, we'll talk.
By the way, have you ever? Let's start. No, okay. So here's the deal. So we're gonna have to start around the neck, and I put these. This is. I don't know if this podcast is gonna be the best this week because we're gonna try doing the makeup and talking about This Is Us.
Yeah, I'm trying to grab the blue here while I hold the mic with the other hand before I get yelled at for not talking into the mic by someone.
I guess I'm gonna have to pull this down so you can just don't touch the Samson mics, which, by the way, the Totally Spoiled podcast is sponsored by Samson Go Mic. For all your social needs, for all your needs, their mics are unbelievable, and the Go Mic is something that it attaches to your phone, so you can use a wireless mic instead of getting the mic quality from your phone. You can get a wireless mic, but it's got to be around the call. You have to watch on YouTube. This is what's going on YouTube.
This is getting weird.
It's not good for the podcast on iHeartRadio. We didn't think this through, but it's good for YouTube. I was gonna talk about some vivid dreams, but I'm gonna go past that because last night I had this weird vivid dream. Do you get vivid dreams where you wake up and
very, very seldomly, and when I do, they're usually scary, so I try to avoid them.
And you're emotional when you wake up and exhausted when you wake up from the dream?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's my day's done.
Yeah, I had a dream last night. This was the weird, and I don't even know why. I don't know if it was the ibuprofen. I don't know if it was the Epsom bath. By the way, I injured myself last night during softball. That's why I'm talking about this.
Did you play softball again?
Yeah, and I used to play all the time, and it's been 2 years since I've played. I'm going to have to trust you on this makeup because I can't see it, so I'm going to have to trust you on it.
Me.
I trust you.
Oh, okay.
I trust you.
Wow.
I trust you. Just get everywhere.
Okay.
Go into the ears. Go. We should ISO this audio.
Get in there.
So I used to play softball every weekend for 5 years, and then I stopped for 2 years.
Why?
Because here's the honest truth. So I was the coach, and getting girls.
Wait, you used to coach?
Yeah, I was the.
Shoot! Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I was the coach.
Okay.
What is it? Why is that hard to understand?
Continue.
Is that hard to believe?
No.
So I was the coach, but what the pain in the ass was getting girls to play every week because you need a certain amount of girls and a certain amount of guys. and getting girls every week was hard. And being the coach, I'm going to hold the mic out here so you can get in there. Being the coach, like, I had to be the one at the last second when all the girls would cancel to try to find. It was just a pain in the ass. So I'm like, I'm done with this.
It became busy work. It was really exhausting.
It just wasn't fun anymore. And
Clearly, you didn't know me then.
It just kind of panned out. Like, everybody just kind of stopped playing.
Uh-huh.
So recently, one of the girls who was on our team has a team in St. Pete, and they needed a pitcher. So she reached out to me and asked, and of course, I'd love to get back into it. So I did. Last night, took a step. I hit a ball, took a step out of the batting box to run to first, and pulled a hammy.
No.
It was like the second inning. If that, it might have even been the first inning. So literally, they had to get a runner for me at first. The rest of the game, I am limping out to the mound. It was like I was in so much pain.
How did you continue to play?
I continued to play. I mean, I don't know. I just did.
Do we have a swollen anything right now?
So I took ibuprofen right there, like when I got back in the dugout.
Yeah.
And then I don't know how this podcast went so wrong. like what did, there was like 8 things. Anyways, so I took ibuprofen like right when I got into the dugout. Then when I got home, I stretched, I iced, I took an Epsom bath, I stretched this morning. So it's crazy that it's not hurting as much as last night, but it's still hurting. Like, I'm really sore. So
is this going to become like a Tuesday ritual now? It's like softball and this is us? Like, are you like stacking up on your responsibilities on a Tuesday night now?
I am. And then I guess Wednesday is going to be talking for like 10 minutes about how sore I am.
Yeah, right?
Oh, my God. All right, let's do some spoiling. At Brian Fink, at April on air. Thank you so much for subscribing to and following the Totally Spoiled podcast. Of course, on your smart speaker, too, if you are just making dinner or whatever you're doing.
Or painting someone's face on.
You're getting paint on the table.
It
which
washes off, my friend.
I hope it does. I hope it does.
We've got this under control.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
On your smart speaker, you just say, "Hey Alexa, play the Totally Spoiled podcast," and you can listen whenever you're getting. I can see the blue out the corner of my eye. This is awesome.
Yes.
This is awesome. Okay, so this is us. Last week's episode. It was your deal. You had to recap it to me because I didn't get a chance to watch it before the podcast. Why didn't you tell me about the Adelegram?
Oh, yeah.
That was like awesome! And that was like a big part of it.
I forgot about that part.
This is why you need to take notes like I take notes. Because you forget. I'm not saying it's anything against you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just saying.
I'm sorry. What can this go in your teeth and your mouth too?
No,
so
no.
We can, is this going to be April's version of washing your mouth out with soap because you don't have nice things to say because now I have blue?
I'm just saying that there's a lot going on that you have to take notes during This Is Us.
Okay.
So we can talk about it.
So you gave me a big responsibility last week.
Yeah,
and again today.
Okay.
Have I gotten even a thank you yet?
We're like a married couple. You haven't finished yet.
I'm working on it.
So why am I going to thank you yet? Listen how high our voices are.
Hey, thank you in advance for painting me blue.
Thank you in advance for painting me blue. Hi, my name is Brian Fink. Thank you in advance for painting me blue. That guy that Kevin met, I think, and you were trying to figure out who he was.
Yeah.
I think that was the guy in his platoon that got his foot blown off.
Well, remember, I told you that. I think he's the one that he saved my life.
Right, but you didn't know who he was. You didn't know if he was
together.
Yeah, but you didn't say that. That's the problem. Okay. I think he was the guy who lost his foot, and that's why it was all about Jack saving his life. This is getting harder and harder to concentrate on this podcast.
Stop wrinkling your
the picture. The picture.
Yes.
I didn't see, and they touched about it last night too. They were trying to figure out if it was romantic, and Kevin was like, "I think this is romantic," but
did you not get that impression?
I didn't get that impression.
Are you
They're just
serious?
kind of looking at each other. I didn't really get anything any romantic from it.
You see where they're kind of like reaching for each other's hand?
No.
Yes.
What? I missed the hand. I didn't.
Just like I missed something too.
I did. Oh wow.
Yeah.
So I didn't really get anything. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some kind of storyline with it, obviously, because Kevin's now going to go to Vietnam to figure it out. But I didn't. Just from the picture, it just looked like two friends looking at each other.
I disagree.
Well, I guess we're going to find out.
And then just simply because this is a necklace that Kevin had been holding on to since his father passed away, and it was something from the lady in that picture as well. Like, I'm sure we're going to get, a lot more into it, especially after his trip going to Vietnam. But, no, there's definitely something more there. So, hang tight for 1 second. Just fuck your lips together. There. Good job. There you go. Okay, now you can talk.
This doesn't really make for a good podcast when I can't talk. If I remember correctly, the necklace, Jack gave it to him when he was in the hospital, right? When he blew his leg out. That's when he gave it to him?
Yeah.
So he's had it ever since then.
Oh,
yeah.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
I mean, since he was a kid. I love how the dynamic of the strong people in This Is Us are kind of now becoming the weak people.
Are you referring to, like, Toby?
I'm talking about Toby, who has always been there for Kate. And, I mean, we've always known that he's dealt with issues, but he's always been the strong one in the relationship.
Right.
And Beth. Because Beth has always been the strong one with them because Randall deals with the panic attacks, too.
Right.
And the anxiety.
If you ask me, though, I love that because you get to see how roles are reversed, and in a sense we're in a relationship, which it should be like this in real life, which again is why we all love this show so much, is in a couple, especially in a marriage, you're supposed to be there one for another, and the strong person isn't always going to be strong.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's beautiful to me. I love to see this development in relationships. And the story plot is part of This Is Us. It's beautiful.
I've got that as part of my notes for later, that it really is the case that a strong person can't always be strong.
Absolutely.
You have to have somebody to rely on that, when you go through your moments, they're going to step up and kind of step up to the plate and take over that role. And we're seeing the role reversal now on This Is Us, which is absolutely amazing. Can I ask you, what happened to older Rebecca? I know that's a blanket statement, but did you notice that last night? How older Rebecca, when she's like mom now, she used to be very strong-headed and opinionated about everything. But then last night we kind of saw the the evolution of her character.
Are you referring to like when Kate reaches out to her and she's like, you don't need me for everything?
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
I love that because remember in prior episodes, I was the one saying, I love Rebecca, but she needs to just tone it down a little bit, reel it in, be a little bit more human and allow mistakes to happen, which is something she touches on in yesterday's episode. Going with your gut and just making sure that that's the best decision you can make, and with the mistakes that come along the way, just keep rolling as they do. It's awesome.
As it was happening, I was like, man, this is weird. I'm not used to this from Rebecca because I'm so used to her like being opinionated and having to tell Kate how to do everything. But now she's kind of like,
even without Kate asking.
Yeah, and now she's like, Kate, you're going to have to learn that you're going to have to do this yourself. And I loved it. And that was actually something I watched the after show. And that's something that Mandy Moore was talking about, how her character development has kind of changed. Which
oh, really?
Yeah. I love it. That was pretty much it. That was It was just Mandy Moore and one of the writers in the after show. And they were talking about Rebecca and Rebecca's character. And we saw a lot of development last night. Totally off the subject, but I'm just looking down at my notes because my eyes have been closed almost this entire time.
You're welcome.
Is this the first time that we've seen Beth really explode like that?
Oh, like at the Girl Scout scene with the girls? Oh, yeah. To that extent, she's got a strong personality, but where she completely snaps.
And that's what I was saying last weekend about last week, how why can I not let go of this weekend? Like, everything happens during the week, and I keep saying week. I think this blue grease paint is seeping into my brain.
Quite possibly.
Yeah, this was the first time. She has in the past yelled at Randall, right?
Yes.
I'm almost positive they've gotten into, like, huge blowout arguments.
Well, don't you remember? I think one of the scenes or one of the places was at Kate's wedding. Remember that episode? No. Okay, got it. So that was one of the first. But besides that, I mean, like I said, she's pretty strong-willed, but she keeps it together really well.
There were remember the early episodes where they were talking about adoption and they were talking about having kids and everything?
Yes.
There was a lot of fights there. Okay, I'm gonna have to bring my notes over here so I can hold on. Let me just take a look at my notes really quick so I can see where we're going. Doesn't it seem like Deja hasn't been in a lot lately?
She wasn't really in this past episode.
What are you talking about? She had a big part in this past episode.
Okay, she had a big part in one scene. In one scene where she goes and sees oh my God, Randall's wife. Why am I drawing a blank on names right now? All of a
I
sudden?
put the names up there for you.
So my makeup is kind
Beth?
of blurring my vision too.
Beth?
Beth. Thank you.
So it's so bad that we have to have a list of names up there for us to see because we couldn't. Brian? Amanda?
Close.
Close. May?
Rude. Yeah.
April.
Yeah.
Yeah, so last night it was like when they start out the episode, they were talking about Deja, but she wasn't really in the episode. And I was like, it's really weird. Yeah, get it in my ear. Get it in my ear. Get it in there. You have to watch on YouTube. Just hop onto YouTube and search the Totally Spoiled podcast.
This is definitely the episode you don't need to listen to. You need to
watch it. It's all visual. Do I have a lot? Is it blue all here? Because I'm kind of seeing like skin.
See,
color.
I'm trying to not provoke tears right now. Like,
no, go in there. No, get in there.
Okay, all right. Well, then keep your eyes closed.
This needs to be. If this is going to be convincing, like I said, I've done Blue Man in the past, and the thing that sucks is going into it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is awesome. But then I forget that I can't drink, I can't eat. Like I have to have a mama bird chew up food and spit it into my mouth because I've got all this makeup on, and I don't I've done gigs like at the Hard Rock with this makeup on, and I forget that how much of a pain in the ass it is. And I would do it after my show. And so it was 2:00 in the morning, and I was starving, and I couldn't eat. So I had to bring Ensure shakes and drink them out of straw. Oh, you're getting it on the. This is gonna be ugly. Hold on, let me move your mic cord there for you. There we go. I don't want anybody to be angry at us for this. There's gonna be blue all over it, but I mean it fits. This room is also used for the Lightning podcast. So there you go. So it fits with the blue. So Deja hasn't really been in a lot, and it's been to the point where even my mom, I was talking to my mom about the episode, and she's like, do you notice the kids haven't really been in the episodes much? And Deja especially, ever since her storyline has kind of leveled. Let me see if I can get the mic up.
Boom, there you go.
Ever since her storyline has leveled out with her being adopted, she hasn't really been that much in the episodes, which I'm almost okay with because, as I've said the entire time, her character doesn't really resonate with me.
Yeah, kind of like Beth's now husband, Miguel.
You remember without even looking, and you were right.
Yeah.
They are kind of developing his character to be good. And so seeing Miguel now, I'm like, oh. Whereas before I was like, Miguel. Now I'm like, Miguel.
Right.
Oh,
What a cutie.
It's going to be very interesting to see how much he plays in all of this. But Deja's speech last night was awesome.
That's what I try to get into with Beth. I mean, go ahead and elaborate on it if you want, but that was powerful.
Yeah,
and beautiful.
What's crazy is, so I'm watching the scene. So Beth is having a nervous breakdown. I mean, straight up. Oh man, I'm getting blue all over these Samson mics.
Beautiful.
Don't tell Samson. Don't tell John McMartin.
Too bad everyone can listen to this. This is public information.
I'm going to have to edit this out of the podcast. So Beth is having pretty much a nervous breakdown. And Deja, that speech, it's crazy because I'm watching the speech. And tell me when I need it. If, like, at some point, I'll just pull these towels out. Mm-hmm. And then, like, that's done. So just get done, like, down in there.
Get in there. This is
get in there. And then I'll pull the towels out.
HR?
And you can, right? Thank God we don't have HR anymore.
Yeah, right. What's that? What's that?
Okay, we need to stop before we get in trouble. So Beth is having a nervous breakdown. Deja gives her this speech, and it's crazy. So I'm watching this as somebody who deals with anxiety and deals with breakdowns. I'm watching this going, I'll tell you what, if I'm going through what Beth is going through, the last thing I want is somebody giving me a speech like that. But then, like...
But when it's your child, isn't that kind of moving?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I can't relate to it unless it's like Aiden. If like Aiden is sitting me down and going, "Meow, Dad, you're gonna get through this. We got Tucker over there." That's how I picture Aiden speaking. Dad, we're gonna get through this. Tucker is gonna sit you down and give you a speech about how you are amazing. That's
meow 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 meow.
Yeah, exactly. So I can't relate to a child giving me a speech like that, but yes, it was powerful. And especially since, again, Deja has been this, she's a strong character, but she's very broken and beaten down.
Right.
So to see her being the one stepping up and being the strong one is amazing. Should I pull this? Should I pull the towels out?
I think, yeah.
Have you gotten down enough? Like, is it down there? Yeah, get down in there. Get down in there.
What's the song? Get down on it. No. I'm gonna put you another song.
Is this what happens when I stop talking? April has to start singing.
Don't give April a mic, ladies and gentlemen. Oops, too late.
So what we're trying to do, if you're not watching on YouTube, we're getting blue down. Is it good? Is that enough?
I think we're good.
Okay, so I can pull this out?
I think you can.
Because once it's out, that's it.
I think you can pull it out. You're good. I think you're good.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
God, you're blue.
Okay, so there you go.
You're
so
blue.
I had a towel covering my shirt because it's a black shirt, but I wanted April to get the blue makeup down on my chest so that, like, you could see it, like, on the collar and everything. It would still be blue. That's
it all blends. There is no flesh-colored skin showing.
Back to This Is Us. Back to This Is... I told you, this was a bad idea for the podcast. This is... And
I think I'm sniffing.
Oh! I'm getting makeup all over the mic. Hold on.
Oh, my God. I think the paint fumes are getting to us.
Hold on. Oh, it comes off easily.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Oh, cool.
Yeah, you're freaking out.
So, Toby. I hate seeing what is going on with Toby right now.
It's heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking. But I love that they're doing it because it is so true. Like, seeing them bringing this to the forefront of somebody dealing with anxiety, dealing with cutting their meds, and then, I mean, he's been on it since a kid. So dealing with the fact of having to have the meds get back into your system, I just love that they're doing this. And he's fighting it right now. Like,
and
this,
you start to see him kind of overcome it or fight. Like, that's the best way said, to fight for it. By no means is he anywhere near overcoming it, but fight for it towards the end when you see his dog and Kate walk out. Audio, which is such a cute name.
Yeah, so one of the things was him fighting, because all it is fighting your brain. Because it's all in your head.
Mind over matter.
That's all it is. And I know it's easier said than done, but literally the meds change your chemicals. So that's why it's pretty much fighting what's going on in your head. And
absolutely.
And he's fighting. Like, he got up, he shaved, he changed, and then even said, I thought this was going to do it, but it didn't do it.
Like, not there yet.
Yeah, he's not there yet. But then Kate obviously takes control and kind of snaps him out of it a little bit, which is Awesome.
Yeah.
Here was my question, though.
Okay.
So one of the main storylines was her going to the dog park, Audio getting into the trash, eating a stone,
Right.
and going to the vet and having to, decide whether they're going to take it out or blah, 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 blah.
Right.
The whole big thing was her not watching Audio. Then her and Toby go to the park and start talking to each other.
Not
watching
audio.
Like, I'm watching this going, guys.
Yeah,
guys,
get it together.
Like, that was the whole thing, was Audio,
Right.
like, being, and even, like, Toby, like, yelled at her for it and made her feel bad for it, and then they do the same thing.
That's a really good point. And I think Toby knows that, because even at the end of that first spiel, he, like, self-corrects himself and kind of apologizes, like, I'm sorry for, I didn't mean to make you feel bad. So, again, that's just the depression sinking in and him being completely on a hormonally unbalanced, so it's funny. I didn't even catch that until you said that.
They are not paying attention
at
all.
Because all of a sudden she's like, oh my God, Toby. He
went to the bathroom,
He's pooping, I'm like, oh my God.
Like, I get it. They have to concentrate. They're having a great a great talk.
Yeah.
But that was the whole big point, was Audio and watching him to make sure he doesn't get into anything.
Of going on.
And the entire time, they're like us. They're like eye contact with each
Yeah.
other, not
Yeah.
even paying attention to him.
Yeah. But I got to tell you, though, that was so beautiful to see that exchange, because you see her tap back into their vows, and she's like, for better, for worse. And she says something so sweet. She's like, if you think this is going to scare me away, you've got something new coming for you. And I'm just like...
Yeah, so we were talking before the podcast about how last night was a really good episode. It wasn't a, oh my God, episode.
Right.
But it was a great episode to build on a lot of storylines.
Absolutely.
Like Randall running for Senate or whatever, he's a congressman or whatever. Senate?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
they built on that a lot, and getting the different neighborhood where he feels he can win there.
And the brothers, not for once, you've seen it develop more, but totally different from their childhood, really support one another. You see how Kevin pulls it together, helps him campaign, and in return, Randall is just kind of there as an emotional support, which is really honestly what Kevin seriously needs at the moment.
Like his entire life.
His whole life, even more so now, to really dig into their father's past, primarily Vietnam, and tying that in the Kevin's girlfriend.
Zoe,
thank you.
I put the
Thank
list up there
Look,
for
have
you.
you not seen me squinting? I'm like, we're going to have
You can't see. I don't even have my glasses on.
Look, okay, all right, it's hereditary. I have
All right,
really
Blue.
bad eyesight.
Am I done?
Pretty much. I just got to get in there for your eyes and a little bit like your lips, but then you can't really talk, so you're screwed either way.
So Zoe.
So Zoe, how he reaches out to Zoe when she mandated to have her own solo time. He still shows up at the hotel where she's relaxing, and invites her on the trip to Vietnam, and she says yes. It was just it was beautiful, because you start to see that relationship develop even more. And I'm rooting 100%.
I'm loving them. I'm loving them together.
I didn't know. I'm going to be honest. At first, I was like, I don't know. Like, they're so different. Like, personalities just don't mesh. And I'm like, team.
Yeah, I'm loving them together, which leads into the storyline of seeing them on the plane together, heading to Vietnam. From the way last season ended.
Yeah.
One storyline that's built up, and I think they're building it up so much because it's going to hurt so much, is Randall and Beth. I love them together, but we know something's going to happen. I don't know what it is.
I'm in denial, Brian.
I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's going to be a divorce. I don't know what it is, but I think that's why they're building up them together so strongly.
Because I was going to say, after this episode, it ends, which we didn't touch on, and I think this is huge. She ends up joining his campaign.
Yeah.
And he goes back to talking about how, like, they made it through college and were sleeping on a mattress on the floor, and everything they've tackled, so successfully, they've flourished. Everything they've done, they've flourished. That his mindset about them is, this is another thing we're going to tackle together.
Absolutely.
And we're going to slay.
That's why I'm
We're gonna
saying
slay.
I think they're building that. No, they've always been strong together, but I mean, like we said earlier, they've gone through their hard patches. But I think that's why they're building them up so well right now, is to make it even more painful when it happens. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
I'm in denial.
I'm telling
we'll
you.
See.
We have to wait 2 weeks now. 2 weeks till the next episode. I don't know what's on next week.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't know if it's just, I don't know why they're taking next, I don't know if it's an award show. I don't know if it's some
That's a good
sporting
question.
event.
I didn't even think about that.
I don't know what's going on that
It's
there's,
not,
yeah.
like any kind of holiday or something. I don't know. I guess we're going to find out.
2 weeks.
But that's kind of not fair. This is us.
Even more reason to subscribe and follow to the Totally Spoiled podcast so you know when there's a brand new episode. At Brian Fink, at April on air. Happy Halloween. Thank you so much for listening to I'm done.
No, I want you to tell me what you think about his blue paint job. So let us
Yeah.
know. Let us know.
Tweet us.
We're like 90% done.
Thank you so much for listening to the Totally Spoiled podcast.